Hey everybody, welcome back. So one thing that I have been wanting to do for a while is print a protective box for this Holley controller box. And the reason I want to print a protective box for it isn't that it doesn't have a nice aluminum case, because it does, but it has the exposed controls on this end, and you can see on this one, and I have two of these. On this one I've already broken. In fact, I think on the original board I'd already, and this is still the original board, so I don't know what I'm saying here. But before I repaired it, I had broken all but two of these off. And I wound up taking it apart and putting new pots on it. And for some reason, they sent me the two pots, and they're not all the same. They sent me the two pots for this end with the built-in stock, and the three for this end that you had to use a screwdriver to go in. And I have printed an extension, and I had an extension printed in all of these, and you bump them or bang them and you break them off. I have another one of these boxes I bought in much more pristine condition that has all the original pots in it with all the stocks in it, and that's what's in the vehicle now, and I'd like to protect it. So I want to make I want to 3D print a protection for this, and I tried printing just a protection for this end, just to cover here, and that's okay, but I'd like to make an entire new thing for it. I don't want to replace the aluminum. That's completely unnecessary. So I think what I'm going to do is design end caps first, one for this end with a cover, once I decide what kind of cover I want, and one for this end exactly like this, but again, I have to figure out what mounting system I want. I keep this under the driver's seat, and I think what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to put in riv nuts in the floor so that it can be screwed down. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind about that yet either. All I know is I want a box, and I want to start with the design of the ends. Let's get into Fusion and let's work on the end caps, because I'm still not 100% sure where I'm going. Here are my two pieces. So what my plan, and you'll see I have if you look down here at the bottom of my history, I have way too many steps in there. And the reason I have so many steps is because I have a tendency not knowing where I'm going when I start to make something. And I'll get 10, 12 steps in, and I'll decide I don't like step 2. And it's easier to add another step to fix it than it is to, Control Z all the way back, or go back to step 2 and change it and find out it screws everything else you've done up. So, and that's why I tend to like to give most major features their own step, as opposed to getting a sketch and having 20 features on that one sketch. That's difficult for me, and I find it, for somebody who does things chaotically, I guess like me, it doesn't always work out. So, and this part is nothing more than a whole bunch of rectangles and holes. It really was not difficult to make at all. But what I did is I designed one part until I got to the point where the front and back caps were going to start having different features. I wanted to make one up until that point, and then just clone it into the second one, and then I can go work on each the individual features that each one needs, if that makes any sense. So this is what I came out with, and I thought this was going to work really well, and I printed one, and I had a little bit of a problem, and I'm going to show it to you here. So let me show you the little problem I ran into here. And this is my fault, because I didn't take these off and look at the inside of them. I just assumed they were flat on the inside. But here's the one I made that I hogged the hole out of so I could get it to fit. And the reason I hogged this hole out later rather than do it in Fusion, if I didn't mention it, is I was trying to make these identical as possible up to the point where I copied and split it, didn't put any changes I made in. So before I went hog wild with that, I just printed one out and I hogged the hole out in it to test it. Let me show you the problem I ran into. When I put it on, it doesn't fit. It sticks out at the bottom. Look what they did, and again, this is my fault for not looking ahead of time. They hogged this out here. They've got an inset in there, and that supports the circuit board. You can see the circuit board sticks out about 3 millimeters, and that 3 millimeter cut, that lets both, and both ends are the same. You can see it on this one too. That supports the circuit board. So, okay, so there is that cut. Now, be aware, it is twice as tall. The bottom of the cut is where it should be. The top of the cut is twice as high as the stock one. So what I'm going to do to make this printable is I'm going to put a chamfer in there. I'm going to go chamfer here, and I am going to say, look at the end of that. Will that print? Oh gosh, I bet that'll print. Okay, let's clone them. So I am going to come to front cap, and I'm going to say copy it. Then I'm going to come up to projection cover and say paste new. All right, so now what I want to do is I need to rotate that 180, 180, and now I need to move it away. Am I moving it? I'm moving it the wrong way. Okay, so I need to move it away. I think I said that was 203. I really would like to get that right. Negative 203, and that will put it at the right distance from the first one. All right, so there they are. There's my two parts. They both have the cut for the circuit board. I checked the holes. The fitment on the holes and on the part is fine. I'm going to rename that to rear cap and enter, and now I'm going to save it so I don't screw up. All right, so now I'm going to hide the front cap, and I am going to work on this. I believe that is how it looks. Yes, that is how it looks. This looks a little tall for some reason. I'm not sure why. I'm going to print this, and I'm going to see if this works. And we'll go from there. If that works, then the rear cap, I believe, will be done. And then I can do the front cap. Okay, so this is what I believe is going to be my final part. And it's not the final part because it's not right, but it is close enough. And there it is there. I screwed it on. Now, there are a couple of minor issues with it. One of them is my hole for the plug was slightly too high, needed to come down 2 millimeters, and the slot for the circuit board needs to be moved all the way up to the very bottom of it. It's pretty obvious from this one, where is it, from this one, that that's what needed to happen, but for some reason I wasn't paying close enough attention. Also, the mounting holes, since it's printing vertically, they're printing in an oval, a flattened oval, and I'm going to make them a 0.5 millimeter bigger, but I really don't mind running a drill bit through them to make them round. That's just not a big deal to me. I'm going to make those adjustments in the model in Fusion, and I'm not going to bother printing another one because it's so close. I'm happy with it. I've got everything else that I want out of it, and until I get the rest of it made and put on, I'm not going to know of any other changes I need. So now that my rear cap is done, here is the front cap done. All I did was make 2 sketches, one in which I put a construction line at the height I wanted the, let me go to that real quick. So I put a construction line at the level I wanted those holes for the adjustment pots. I made 5 holes, constrained them to that line, and then I dimensioned them all from this edge over, and then I extruded them through. And that was those holes. And then for the text, I created another sketch that, once again, a construction line at the height I wanted the text, and then I did text on a path. I put my text on, that I wanted on it, and then I extruded the text 1 millimeter. How well that little text is going to look with a 0.6 nozzle, I don't know, but maybe it'll look okay. Who knows? Anyway, now if I turn on both, let's turn off sketches, let's turn on both caps. And of course, my front cap also has that cut in it. And I widened that cut by 2 millimeters. Yeah, actually, I widened it by 2 millimeters per side. And I moved it up right, you can see, right to the same level as the bottom of my cut, bottom of my hole there. There's both front and back caps. I have not printed a front one yet to verify that everything's in the right place, but I probably will. And now all I have to do is figure out what I want to make for the cover that goes in between them. So here is my cover. You can see it moves up and down. It fits in there. Now, one thing worthy of note is today Fusion 360 has decided to make me insane again, which it loves to do on a regular basis. I made a couple of mistakes in this. One was when I originally printed it, I did not leave enough space out the front for the stock, so I had to come back and I had to extend these legs here out a ways, and I did it on the front. I did not do it on the back because the back was fine, and then of course I had to make the cover big enough again to fit in, and that's why I have two covers. You might have saw them in the previous video, the red one and the newer one. And another thing, when I cloned the back to the front here of the caps, I put a distance in when I cloned it, and of course now that distance is incorrect, and I can't figure out how to get back to that measurement to do it again. I tried making a rigid joint between the two to size it, but then it throws off my relationship with the cover, with the up and down cover joint, and the slider that lets it go up and down. And then when I tried to redo the slider, I couldn't make it go up and down again. It would only go from side to side. So after an hour of farting with that, I finally was so frustrated I was cussing like a madman, and I finally gave up and said, okay, you've beaten me. You can appear like you do not fit. So here is the cover. This is the second one I printed. The first one was the one that was too small that way because it interfered with the stock, the control stalks, and then I had to expand the leg out further. Let me grab it. What did I do with it? I've lost the box now. I'm having one of those afternoons, aren't I? Here we go. Well, I had to extend this leg out to move the front of the box further away from those stalks, and I only did it on the front one. I didn't do it on the back one, and that's when the cover had to get longer, and that's when my problems with Fusion 360 started accelerating. So you can see the nubs on the inside of the box. They are going to line up with these nubs, and it's going to pop in. And I also made another mistake on this one. This slot is not in the center, and because I screwed up and it's not in the center. So I've already gone back in and fixed that. I just have not printed another cover yet. And let's put it on. So it's going to go on. Let me flip it over so you can see it. It's going to go on right like that, and then it's going to pop in. Says here it's going to pop in. Pop in. There we go. There we go. It's a tight fit. But you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing. When I make the final one, since I have to make the outer cover, since it's too big for the Flash Forge A5M, I have printed both of the box covers on the Alpha YZ20, which is a clone of the Creality CR10. So it's got a 12-inch by 12-inch, 300mm by 300mm bed. So it's big enough to print this cover as one piece. Since I'm printing it on that, the best thing I can probably print it out of is PETG, and that will be a little bit more flexible than the this PLA. So anyway, there you have it. That is my box, and you can see that's off center now, but that's no big deal, and I have room in there for the stalks. And part of me wants to put holes in there so that if I had to, I could reach in with a screwdriver to adjust them without fighting the cover on and off. But you know what? If I'm trying to protect those things, I don't know that I want holes in there. Anyway, let's see how hard it is to get it back off. It really isn't. When this is bolted to the floor, I don't think it's going to be a serious problem, especially when the pieces are all made out of a slightly more flexible material. There we go. Let's try it the other way, just for sport and amusement. Let's try putting that on, and let's see how this fits. Let's go the front on first, and then the back. And you got to kind of get the dots in the holes, because then it's a little easier. There we go. That's not bad. I actually kind of like that. I don't think that'll be any kind of a problem. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed my battle with this. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Unfortunately, it's still 100 and whatever million degrees outside, so I'm not going to get back out to get this in the Jeep until summer's over, but at least I think I am ready to go. Anyway, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.